for this skill, we're going to practice back floating in a bathtub. So I have Neil here, who is just right now practicing laying on the bottom of the bathtub with his ears in the water. So if you were to have a child practice their back float, you can just fill the water up to the point that their ears are covered and that their ears are filled with water, and their back is flat on the ground. And this just is a good way to help them learn to relax in the water, but also get used to that uncomfortable feeling of their ears being filled. Once they have mastered just laying on the bathtub floor, you can eventually raise the level of the water so it comes up to the point where they can actually float in the water. So I'd probably have to double this water level in order for him to float. That's something that you can experiment with in the bathtub, and then he can just practice. So eventually he'll also be able to put his hands on the ground. So you put your hands on the ground and practice kind of with his fingertips on the ground and then floating. Okay, so to introduce a back float, we raise the water level. To introduce a back float, I can hold the back of their head. This helps ensure that their head is in the right position. I want their eyes looking at me. So I'll say, hey, look at your eyes. Let me see your eyes. There you go. So that is instead of him tilting his head like that, that's not helpful. Notice how his hips start to sink. So I'll hold his head and just look at his eyes. This also helps us ensure that they're not going to get water in their face and helps them have like a level of trust with you. So I can hold his head right here. And then if he's having a hard time with his hips, I can lift his hips up a little bit like this. And then I would just encourage, keep your toes in the water. Keep your toes in the water. There you go. And even being able to do this for 5-10 seconds is good enough. It's a good way to just introduce a back float. Eventually, you can let go of the hips and maybe just hold the head. And then eventually you can do maybe 2 fingers underneath or 1 finger, and really just gives them the idea that somebody's holding them, but honestly you're not. And then you can slowly let go. And I also like to tell kids, like, I just held you with 1 finger, and my finger wasn't actually holding you up. I'm not that strong. And then I just explain, you can do it by yourself. And they get really excited about that. So, and then if you can even just say, hey, can you do that for 3 seconds by yourself on your back? So I told him, okay, let's count to 3. You have 3 seconds. 1, 2, 3. Good job! Okay, notice how his head, his hips, and his feet are all in one alignment. So he is floating about 2 inches off the ground right now. But everything is in one straight line. If he were to lift his feet up, lift your feet up, Neil, his bum starts to sink. Okay, put your feet down. Put your feet down. And then if he were to sit in a chair is what I call it, if sitting in a chair. So try to sit, Neil. Yep, move your hips. Oh, see, all of a sudden his body goes into a V position. So if he were in a pool, he would then start to sink.